This game was requested by WombleThumbNibbleRight, which I must say is quite a username. It's a platformer game with pixely graphics that's almost like Terraria or Minecraft. It's 2D, so I'd say closer to Terraria, but only in the visuals. There's not really actually any goal as such for this game. You jump around the map, triggering gems to appear, collecting them and lighting torches on your way to find the door to the next area. You can also collect wisps, which are the little things with the level markers floating around. You have to be the specified level to be able to release the wisp, and each of these wisps gives you a different special ability. Not only do they have the benefit of lighting up the map around you a bit more, making it easier to see where the platforms are so you don't fall in the water, but they enhance your platforming abilities. The white level 2 wisp gives you a super jump, and I find this the most helpful of all the wisps. It helps you bridge large gaps with ease. The level 7 yellow wisp summons yellow gems to you. Normally you have to be within a certain range of the gems to get them to come to you, but this one turns them into shooting stars that fire across the map to you. The level 11 triangular wisp gives you the ability to static cling onto walls. Normally you slide down a wall if you try to grab it, but this one allows you to hang on in one place. There's a level 13 wisp that gives you a slower fall, so you drift downwards instead of falling, and there's a level 17 wisp that I didn't get because I wasn't a high enough level. You can have as many of these wisps around you as you want. I had up to 4 at a time, and you can also have multiple of the same one, but that doesn't enhance your ability past the normal amount granted. The wisps do leave you after a time period, so you do lose your abilities after a little while. Really, the only tangible targets in the game are the Steam achievements, and most of them are simply for collectibles and repeating actions. There was one cryptically named The End that said Reach District 11, the districts being each level you pass through as you go through the doors, indicated at the top of the screen. Just an FYI, level 11 is not the end. The game is infinite and it has no endpoint, will simply run for as long as you go before you fall in the water. When you do fall in the water, you go to a place called the Wisp Garden where you get to choose one of the wisps you've collected along the way to take back into the world with you when you restart. The maps you play on are procedurally generated, the same as in To the Core, which I did a previous review on. This means the maps are not set and will not be the same each time you play, so each district will be entirely different. I didn't recognise any of the maps in the whole first hour of play, so there's quite a lot of variety in there. This makes the game more engaging. As for an infinite game fueled by collectibles, the last thing you want is people playing it over and over and just learning the maps and the best routes and getting bored, as the game would have trouble being a challenge at that point. The game's main selling point and its major purpose, it seems from its Steam page anyway, is simply to be a relaxing game with interesting scenery that allows the player to work at their own pace in a game that doesn't expect anything from them. Does it meet those criteria? Yes it does, and comfortably so. The music is soothing and alters depending on what you do in the game, so all your normal tasks like freeing wisps and lighting torches can trigger changes in the background music. It can increase in intensity. There was a time in particular where the music almost felt like it was building up, though I wasn't doing anything different, but in general it's quite smooth and level. This music is also accompanied by a variety of ambient sounds, everything from running water and waterfalls to rain, the sound of knocking pots, little pinging sounds as you collect gems, the whooshing of torches lighting and crunches of your own character's movements. Sometimes the music lulls and leaves you with just the sound effects, but all of it together builds a really relaxed atmosphere that does steady out any potential rage from the game. After all, just because it's chilled out in its sound doesn't mean the game doesn't have its challenges, and falling into the water after some decent progress is obviously inconvenient, but at no point did I feel as frustrated with it as I could have done. The scenery was well designed, everything very distinguishable for the pixel art. The black background was a great contrast against all the little fireflies, the wisps, the glowing gems and the torches, giving that lower level of lighting but to much more aesthetically pleasing effect. Your little character sprite is nicely designed and all of the animations are smooth and well done. The controls are pretty easy, though I do question the choice for the dash ability. You move right and left with A and D or the arrow keys, interact with S or the down arrow, and you dash with W or up, but you jump with space. Dash effectively works like a double jump, but it's odd to have to press space and then W to do it. Particularly with wall climbing, the dash jump alternating technique was very effective to get up big walls, but it did feel a little bit uncomfortable, since sometimes I was dashing when I wanted to jump and vice versa, and it took extra brain power to try and coordinate between left hand and right hand to effectively double jump. This confusion caused me a few mistakes and a few falls I didn't need sometimes. The dash is really useful for the platforming aspect, so I don't fault its function. I just question the choice of key to use for it, or whether it was worth turning it into a double jump, since it really did the same thing as a normal jump just for a second time. You may be wondering, as I was, why your character is carrying a sword in a game with no combat. I believe that question is answered by Himno the Silent Melody, a game advertised by Himno in its title menu. It's a game made by the same creators with vastly the same environment, the same character and functionality, but with combat added in. It seems they're branching and using Himno as a base and adding combat mechanics and potentially a story. This new concept has not been released on Steam yet, but its similarity means Himno is, in effect, an advert as well in purpose. I think this is a very good game. It works well as a platformer, but it doesn't go overboard on complex platformer mechanisms. The vanishing platforms are the biggest example of typical challenges platformer games add in, but really this is the only one other than the water. The rest of the challenge for skill comes from the shape and design of the levels themselves, the format often bottlenecking you in one area and getting you to go back and find another route to the things that you want. There are no fire spouts to jump through, no dodging or diving of hazards, there's just staying on the platforms and exploring whilst trying not to fall off. The atmosphere is great, the visuals are really nice, and again, simple yet effective. The spotlighting of the map by the glowing objects around is fuel for the exploration element, uncovering just enough to make you interested. The game doesn't have definitive goals once you've got the Steam achievements, so may take a strike to its longevity and being replayed, but I got a smooth hour out of it, so it does have decent time prospects initially. If you're competitive, this might not be the game for you, unless you count beating your own scores for duration, in which case it might be alright. But if you do like a bit more oomph to your games, Himno the Silent Melody might be more your bag. This version of Himno works almost like a tester for the atmosphere and controls of the follow-up game roughly, and I think it's definitely worth a try. It's a good game, standalone or advert, and so I'll give it a 9.5 out of 10.